Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you are doing well. I certainly am. It is Saturday morning. I'm filming a little earlier this week than I have in the last couple weeks. But again, I'm filming on Saturday morning here. And I'm just getting going with my stitching for the day. And if you haven't noticed already, I'm stitching on something you might not have seen in my repertoire before. And maybe you can tell what it is, and maybe you can't. This is something that is very, very common among many stitchers out there right now. I have talked about it in my purchases and future plans, and last night I had finished stitching a model stitch for my shop, Ginger Gerald Designs, and I felt like I didn't know what else I wanted to stitch on, so I decided I was going to go ahead and have a new start. A little bit earlier than I had anticipated starting this, but I went ahead and did it anyways. And I'm definitely happy I did. So this is going to be Lady of the Flag. So I'm sure all of you have seen Lady of the Flag, but here's what it will look like when it is complete. It is a Mirabilia, my very first Mirabilia. I have always said I will probably never stitch a Mirabilia, but when this was re-released in June, I went ahead and grabbed it up because this is so far the only one that has ever caught my attention of interest. So I am glad I was able to get a copy of it. I am stitching it for the purposes of the fact that, in my opinion, it looks like if you look at really old-fashioned coins, many old coins have Lady Liberty on it. And while it doesn't necessarily have the lady holding a torch, it's just reminiscent of those kind of depictions. And so that is why I'm going to stitch this. I am stitching it in the called for colors, but I have chosen to use my ex-Jew fabric that I had custom ordered from her. This is a 32 count Zweigart Lugana, and you're not going to be able to read it because it is washing out. Where is that at? There it is, Zweigart Lugana, that I had custom ordered in the dark sand colorway. And I had asked her to dye it just a little bit darker than the piece that I had originally ordered. If you haven't seen this shown in my videos, you can go back to my last couple updates. And my most recent update a week and a half ago, and I showed this in my video. So I did just start this last night. I am stitching, this is a 32 count. I'm stitching 2 over 2. Of course, I'm not a fan of 2 over 2. I prefer using one strand of floss, just because I don't have to worry about the two strands fighting each other and laying improperly. I'm doing the best that I can. Of course, I know I could use a laying tool, but to me that is much more time consuming, and I'm not used to using a laying tool. I do have laying tools here, and if it gets to the point where I feel like my stitches aren't laying as nicely as I would like them to, like really, really poorly, then I will definitely pull out my laying tools and use them as needed. So far, I'm content with the look of the stitches. You know, I think we are always our worst critic as far as how our stitching looks. and we always think our stitches will look better than, or our stitches could always look better. But again, I'm also very used to using higher count fabrics, 40, 46 count. Now I have 56 count that I'm really looking forward to putting something on. So definitely wanting to, um, I prefer using one thread. Plus it's also much more economical. You don't have to buy nearly as much floss. So I have started in the middle of the pattern, and I decided that in this case I know most people that I've seen that have started this are working from the top down, or they're working from the middle up and doing the top part first, and then they're going to come down and do the bottom part last. I'm going to do that opposite, just because I know from my experience with Henry, I did his face like right off the bat, and then it was kind of like a letdown as far as, well, what else do I have to look forward to? So I definitely want to use, I'm looking forward to doing those, the torch and the face and the major part of the flag last. So I'm going to go ahead and do the majority of the dress and the bottom half of the design first. I also know how I would like to frame this, but I'm going to keep that to myself for now because I'm not sure how that's going to 100% work out or hash out. And so until I know for sure that it will work, I want to, just keep that under wraps and make sure I can make sure I can make it work out before I put it out there into the universe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 more rows. But of course, if any of you have been watching me for a long enough time, I'm loving these colors because they're my color. I love yellow, and so this is going to be a lot of fun to work on just because of the fact that the majority of the design is shades of yellow. So that is a lot of fun. Of course, there are also the lighter shades that I'm going to have to fight with as far as making sure that the stitches lay well, because the yellows always seem, especially with DMC, they always seem like they don't like to lay as well as the other colors. And I don't know if it's something whenever they dye the yellow, or if it's just the fact that they're the lighter shades, or, but yeah, it seems like something with them just doesn't like to, they don't like to lay as smoothly as other colors, which is always a bummer for me because yellow is always my favorite color. And then whenever I go to stitch yellow, they're always the ones that to me look the roughest. And I know many of you are going to say, but your stitches look so wonderful. I'm like, again, I am always my toughest critic. So just saying. And I think many of you can relate in many ways as far as how that is. And maybe not just in cross stitch, maybe just, in everyday life or activities that you participate in. We are always, or many of us are often harshest on ourselves just because we want to do our absolute best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more row. You might be able to hear, or you might not. I might be having to talk over top of my dryer today. I am gung ho. I have been neglecting my chores the last few days around the house to heavily focus on some designs that I'm trying to get ready to go here for the shop, as well as work has been really, really busy this week. Just at work, not my design business, but just work in general. So, uh, I've whenever I come home, it's like I really don't want to have to do any cleaning, and so I've been neglecting it. And So today I am gung ho on getting my chores done, on top of doing everything else for the channel that I need to accomplish. So I have laundry in the machine. I want to thank you all for all the comments that I got last week on my smelly laundry question. I've had an outpouring of responses and support for that. So I am looking into the different suggestions, and it's amazing how many different techniques and tips and suggestions I've gotten from that. So definitely going to try them out, and it might take me some time just to troubleshoot, and hopefully one of them will work. But regardless, it's always nice to have people that you can go to that might have a similar. Why can't I get that onto the needle? Come on. Nope. There we go. It's always good to have. It was nice to be able to ask that question on my channel because I don't know anybody else that has a machine like mine or has had experiences like or situation like what I'm experiencing with my laundry. So to be able to ask that and have a number of responses is just short of amazing because not even just short of amazing, it is amazing because I'm able to try to find something that will work for me. So I want to thank you all. That should be good. So again, since I am using 2 strands of DMC, I am doing the loop method just because that makes it nice and simple to do my start. Okay. I've also, with this pattern, I went ahead and made a working copy just because since, I mean, if any of you have ever, and I'm sure many of you have, stitched a Mirabilia before, they are on like a yellowy color paper and the patterns are very large. They're a very large piece of paper folded up. And I did not want to have to work from that piece of paper just because, for one thing, the yellow is kind of hard to read from. The patterns are quite small on the paper, so, and then, you know, in case you ever, like, if you fold and fold and if you've ever worked, I know from experience from working with dimensions kits before, when I've had to fold and refold and the papers start to wear out, and I didn't want that to happen. And then if I do that too many times, and then I'm not able to read the pattern. So I went ahead and done. I can't talk today. I went ahead and made a working pattern or working copy of my pattern so then I can also color in the parts that I've done just so I can keep track of where I am at, especially since the pattern is on the smaller side with the size, the print. So what I'm trying to do with this design is, instead of doing cross-country color completing, I'm just trying to stay local as best as I can and complete sections of the design at a time. So my goal is maybe this weekend to fill in these two areas. I believe they're lighter colors in here with some back stitching. And then there might even be some beads in there. And of course, this is also going to be, other than, I've started my chatelaine that has beading, but I haven't gone to the beading yet. And this will also have beading. So this will be the second piece I've started that has beads, and I've never done any beading yet. So, and I'll probably get to the beading on this before I get to the beading on my chatelaine. But I will probably wait till the end of the design until all the stitching is done before I do any of the beading. Just because at this time I have to have it in a Q-snap. I was hoping to have it, put it on one of my Omnic frames. However, the only one it fits is the one that Henry is on. And I'm not, you know, I'm not taking Henry off of that frame until he's completed. So until that happens, I'm going to have to use a Q-snap. And if I can get him done before I get Lady of the Flag done, then maybe Lady of the Flag will go on to the frame. for 2 more rows, I think. As many of you are wondering, I did not put out a update on Wednesday. I just really was not feeling up to filming that day. This week I've also had a lot of headaches and migraines related to the weather. With Hurricane Florence, or I guess it was, a depression or even less by the time it came through my area. Early in the week, I was having a lot of migrainous symptoms related to the pressure, the change in the barometric pressure as a result of those storms coming through. And so I just really wasn't feeling up to filming this week. So I did not film this week. I will be filming earlier in the week, in this coming week, because I have a work event on Wednesday night. So I will be unavailable Wednesday for a video. So my plan is to film probably Monday an update and put that out, because then of course Confessions of a Floss Tuber comes out on Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I also really haven't had a lot of stitching to be able to report, just because I've been really focusing on getting some design stuff ready for the shop. So, and hopefully we'll be able to release that very soon. I know Caroline put out a video yesterday for her very first episode of the Stitch With Me, her Stitch With Me for the Stories of the North 1 Sal. And so that is exciting, and I'm so thrilled that so many people are excited about that design. I've had lots of interest and questions about that, and some questions as far as, let me make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As far as how much floss will the Victorian Motto sampler threads that came in the kit be enough for all 5 parts? I have said in the past, and I will say again, parts 2 and 4 of the 5-part series, if you plan on stitching all 5 parts, parts 2 and 4 are going to be a different color set than the blues. So parts 1, 3, and 5 will be the two shades of blue, and I'm planning on keeping them the same shades of blue. Parts 2 and 4 are going to be a shade of brown and a shade of topaz, to give the design some variation, and also to help maybe just match up with the types of animals that are being projected in the designs. So I wanted to provide some variation in the style, in the look of the pieces, just because they are standalone pieces, but also be able to tie them together with the style of the design through the series. So again, parts 1, 3, and 5 will be the two tones of the blues, and then parts 2 and 4 will be a brown and like a goldish topaz. But all 5 pieces are the same exact dimensions, so they're 70 wide by 90 high stitches. So if you need to measure out a specific size of fabric, or if you want to ensure that you have enough fabric for all of your pieces, that is the measurements for all 5 pieces. They will be 70 by 90. Okay, let me go ahead and mark the pattern. So I typically just use, I have a box of colored pencils that I had purchased, just cheap ones from Hobby Lobby. Nothing fancy, because I know I'm just going to run through them real quick as I'm coloring in. I like to keep them sharp, so I sharpen them quite frequently. I have a little hand sharpener that sits right beside my station whenever I am using a pattern that I have to color in. Since I just cut this length of thread off, I can't use the loop method anymore, so I will just stitch it in the back and stitch over the end until it is secure, and then I can go back to two-handed stitching. There we go. So again, if you have any questions for any of my patterns that I'm working on, as far as my designs or anything that I am working on for my own personal stitching that you would like to ask me, please feel free to private message me on Instagram. It's ginger.gerald.stitcher. Or you can email me. My email is ginger.gerald.stitcher@gmail.com. I will make sure to link all of that below. If you have any questions as far as my patterns, my designs in my Etsy store, you can always message me through Etsy as well. I ensure that I respond quickly, usually within minutes of the message if I'm able to. If not, it's within within 24 to 48 hours I will get back to you. I always try to be as quickly as possible, just because I know some people are just like I am. If I have a question and I know I am always anxious to get an answer so I can get moving on a pattern if I'm working on something, or so I try to do that, have that same customer service that I would like to have, just because, you know, what I would like is what I want to provide, what I would like to have myself. So, and I am almost always available through any of those mediums of communication. I always enjoy receiving messages through Instagram or Etsy. I will provide a caveat. Sometimes I don't. If you are a new messenger to me on Instagram, and I do have the setting where I have to approve the message first. I don't always see those right away. I do try to check that once a day just to make sure I haven't received the message, but sometimes I get busy and I don't get to that right away. So please just understand that I will see your message eventually if you do send me a message. So I want to thank all of you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you were able to get lots of stitching done as well. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend of stitching and week if you're watching this through the week. And I will see you on my next Stitch With Me. And again, I will be back on probably Monday for an update. And don't forget to always be creative.